Hi, I'm Danielle Cézanne. Welcome to the Ford Family Gallery. First of all, thank you for all of your support. We'd like to thank our premier sponsors, our platinum sponsors, our emergency contractor services, New Studio Architecture, Riel Precision Manufacturing Corporation, Schweeder's Building Supply Construction Incorporated, Schweeder's Pottery, and our gold sponsors, Boyman Berenshire, Mueller Memorial, Steve Goranson Video, and the Pillars of White Bear Lake. This activity is made possible by the voters of Minnesota through a Minnesota State Arts Board Operating Support Grant, thanks to a legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund, and also in part by the Manitou Fund. I would like to introduce the curator of this show, Leslie Barlow. We first saw one of her paintings at the State Fair and had to give it an award because of its originality. She used multimedia on fabric, and right away that elevated her work above what was there.
Happy to be here. Hello, I'm Leslie Barlow, and as Danielle said, I curated this show. It's been a long time coming because that was like 2 years ago when you saw that piece, and since then we were trying to come up with an idea for me to show my work in the space, and then within that time frame, I actually started in a subsidized studio program for emerging artists called Studio 400, and I thought that would actually be a really great way for me to support them in showing their work and also have an exhibition with my work in conversation with theirs. So that's what the show is that you're seeing right now, Disquietude. It includes the work from 6 artists from Studio 400 as well as my own work. And these are the 2 pieces that I created for the show. What you see here in this work are images that I drew from photographs that I took of artists creating murals in Minneapolis in response to George Floyd's murder. So you see basically 1 or 2 artists in process of creating this, honoring this piece to represent and reflect on what was happening and is still happening in Minneapolis at this time. I wanted to specifically represent the artists in that action, to think about, what are the ways that we are moved to create work like this, and the process and the labor that goes into trying to make work in a time of unrest and of uprising. So that's this work. These are actual murals that you can see in Minneapolis. This one is on the side of Seytoul, which is right off of 38th in Chicago. And this one just came down. It was on a temporary board that was blocking some broken windows on Lake Street and 4th. But hopefully we'll be getting those boards back and display them somewhere else. These are drawings, but most of my practice is oil painting, and I've been painting for a while, probably over a decade now, and currently have a studio in Northeast Minneapolis where you can find me.
Hi, my name is Maiya Hartman, and I am a visual artist from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm part of the group Studio 400, and I'm really excited to be sharing work here. My work has been inspired by my recent mural work that I've been doing in the city as a result of the spark of the uprising in Minneapolis. And so my motivation for what I created for the show was bringing some of the elements that I've learned in muraling and some of the compositional pieces that I've learned and transferring that over into my studio practice. So I kind of pushed myself outside of my comfort zone, which is portrait painting, and incorporated some letters and some West African symbols that kind of tie into themes of revolution and achieving a state of ungovernability.
Hi, I'm Bris Carbajal, and I'm one of the Studio 400 artists, and I focus on textiles and creating clothes. I've been interested in designing clothing for several years, and in this show I've leaned more towards the avant-garde side with this piece, so thinking more conceptually, and this piece specifically was inspired during the pandemic and the uprising, and I wanted to focus on the foundations and the basics, because during times of insecurity and during this time I thought about what is secure, what do we have, what is our strengths, and I thought about the food security. And there's a saying in Spanish, and hay frijoles en la casa, like as long as there's beans at home, we're good, and that's where this filling comes in. So there's pinto and black beans in here to represent the variety that is eaten in Mexico and throughout the world. The denim is a touch on like workmen's wear, and the lines are significant to like agricultural fields, which is a little bit more of my background and how I grew up. And this piece for me is me diving into a new way of working, more avant-garde, more conceptually versus commercial and functional. And I'm excited to continue working this way.
Hi, my name is Taylan Johnette. I'm a graphic designer and artist at Studio 400. I'm originally from Southern California, and I graduated from the Minneapolis College of Art and Design about a year ago with my BFA in graphic design. My piece is called Alchemy, and it's basically a series that explores the complexities and the vulnerabilities of love and pursuing our personal aspirations. So it explores two major themes within the book, The Alchemist, which is basically love and personal legends. And where I got my inspiration from this was tarot cards. Tarot cards are like infamous for telling past, present, and future situations. So this is all hand inked onto a base of paper. And then I extracted two quotes that kind of just reiterate the meaning of each cards beside them. And this is basically just an ink transfer through acetone, touched up with a little bit more hand ink. I guess my inspiration here was I wanted everything to look like super ancient, super gentle, and just really aesthetically pleasing.
My name is Philipo Dyauli, and I'm a painter and illustrator from Studio 400. I am currently in the Northrop King building, and I mainly do acrylic on canvas. I started painting seriously about 4 years ago. Before that, I was only sketching. And I did not go to school for artwork, so I am self-taught. And my work primarily these days works on how our bodies interact with the space around us, especially black and brown bodies. This piece specifically is about water phobia within the black community and African community, and explores the relationship between my siblings and I in an activity that usually is peaceful or fun, but with our experience of water, it kind of brings in different emotions when we're next to water. Mix of joy, mix of fear, but I wanted to explore how the connection between our lack of experience of water between me and my siblings, and how that affects us in our life, and how that has been a barrier for the black community for a while. And mainly I wanted to explore also how the color in the painting can be used as a tool. There's very much a focus on the difference between the two, the background and the water, the flow of the water, the flow of the material, but also the focus on myself versus my siblings. I think I have way more detail on myself, a little bit vain, but it makes sense to focus on myself in this painting versus how much focus I put on my siblings.
Hi, my name is Nicole. I'm an artist with Studio 400. I'm excited to share my work with the White Bear Center for Art by the show that Leslie Barlow curated. The work that I included has been a relatively new process for me. I started this work during stay-home orders. I guess I can talk about the sculpture work first because that came first. I started assembling these works on my coffee table at home using the materials I had at hand. I was definitely feeling the effects of isolation along with everybody else and just this incessant need to express necessary change. So through meaning making with the materials, I'm making like small symbols of the ways that we need to change and speaking to just this effort to cobble together a new experience from what we have on hand. They think a lot about the end and the beginning of life and trying to make that more of a beautiful, soft process. This work is also relatively new, like I mentioned. This is more about channeling energy in the moment. So as a very empathetic person, I feel a lot from the people around me. And this started, this work actually was the first work of the series I did, and I did it the day before the first uprising fires in Minneapolis, and I think I was really feeling just a lot of the unrest. This is another newer work. I'm using natural materials to form an implied meaning. I'm trying to create a stark but beautiful and poignant aesthetic that invites a more intimate relationship with the viewer. In turn, we can think about the materials, ourselves, and others through this assemblage.